Hi, it's Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. Today we'll be answering the question, how do millionaires become millionaires? So I get this question rather frequently when it comes to financial planning. People are always trying to figure out how do they get the money that they need where they don't have to think about money or worry about money, or they feel like they don't have to really plan for different things where the money is in the account. Now, I often tell people you still want to be intentional with your money no matter how much you have. And the reason is very simple. The habits that you built that created your wealth are the habits that you'll want to maintain to continue to maintain your wealth. There are also the habits that you want to instill in your children and different loved ones that see the way you interact with money so that they can mimic your success. If you only do it just to get to the mountaintop, well, don't be surprised if you start sliding back on the way down. And it's the same as if you were like working out and you're like, okay, I want to run a marathon, or I want to be able to do a 5K, or I want to do whatever activity that you set for yourself. And you go and you train and you do this for several months and then you accomplish the goal. If you just let it go after that, where you're like, okay, I accomplished my goal, I'm done. Well, don't be surprised that you find yourself sliding and losing all of the gains, all of the momentum, all the good habits that you have built. So, more times than not, when it talks about money, we're talking about building lifetime habits, habits that you're going to maintain regardless of the amount of money that you have. Now, to just answer the question of how millionaires make their money, the IRS has actually answered that for us. And so we have taken the 7 streams of income that you find that millionaires have, and then we'll discuss those today. These are all a part of the Wisdometric framework because I believe wisdom is the ability to use the knowledge that other people have, the experiences that other people have, to create the same results for yourself. So the first one is earned income. Earned income is just what you think. That's the money that you get when you go to your job and you get paid an hourly wage. However you earn the money, it's active income. It's money that you're going to be generating by trading your time for that money. Now, you could be getting paid a commission or a salary. You could get paid hourly, or you can get paid like in some stipend. I mean, you can really put it any way, but if you are earning this money by trading your time for it, well, then that is what we would consider earned income. That's active income. That is where most people start. Most people start with earned income. And the reason is simple. We have to build some sort of trade, some sort of skill set that allows us the ability to be able to translate that into something profitable, whether we start a business or whether you file for a patent or something like that. And we'll get into those other streams of income later. But the simplest one, the easiest one for us to learn at a very early age and to start engaging with the economy in, that's going to be your earned income. The second one is going to be your profits. Now, this is going to be income that's generated from a business. Now, when I talk about a business, we're really talking about, hey, very simply, your profit is your revenue minus your expenses. The money that you have left over is your profits. So as you generate a profit, that money comes back to you. Now, you may decide, I'm going to reinvest this money in the business. I'm going to, increase my inventory. I'm going to open up franchises. I'm going to buy another building. Whatever you're going to decide to do, that ultimately was still your money to decide with. It was no different than when you first started the business and you invested your money from that money that you had from earned income. This money is just from the profits of the business. So that is the second one, which is usually the transition that most of us make. We have earned income, we learn a skill set, a trade of some kind, and then we decide, okay, I'm going to start building some sort of a business with my skill set so that I'm able to decide how much income I have. And if I build it the right way, I won't have to trade my time for money. The third one is your interest income. This is what you often find in like your savings account. This is going to be money that you get like a couple percent here, and I'm being very generous, right? But you get a couple percent here, you get 1.5% there. Maybe your CDs would probably count in this one. Anytime you buy debt where you're not buying equity in a company, so this could be like treasury bills and bonds from the government, anything like that is where you generate interest. You don't buy like equity from stock in a company or anything like that. This is just the interest that you build. The fourth one is going to be capital gains. So that moves us into the stock market. And when you have capital gains, that means you have held the stock for at least 1 year and a day. And once you have it for a year and a day, now you are charged a lower tax rate that is considered capital gains. And so that's usually around like 15%. The big benefit you have here is if you have a stock for less than a year, that is charged as just your regular income. And so you're being incentivized to leave the money in the company and then you get rewarded as an owner. This is another form of ownership because even though you didn't like build the company that you invested in, it's almost like you're a silent partner. So because you're like a silent partner, you get some of the benefits of it. Sometimes you vote for the board and you get like dividends, which is just sharing the profits that the company has made. There's lots of different advantages that you can have from owning stock in a company that is the same as being like a silent partner in a business that like your friend started. The fifth one is your investment income. And this is really just focusing on a portion of the stock portfolio, but this portion is where we get money back through dividends. And dividends is when a company generates a certain amount of revenue, a certain amount of profit, and then they decide, you know what, I'm not going to reinvest this money back in the company. I'm going to pay this money out to the owners. And you, as the stockholder, are the owner in the company. So they will take a certain amount of revenue and they'll give it back to you. Now, more times than not, the dividend is going to be reserved for very large companies that are no longer in the expansion phase, but they are now focusing on giving the money back and just kind of holding their footprint. Now, sometimes you find some smaller companies that give a dividend just to attract investors, but those usually aren't long-lasting dividends. And so you want to keep in mind just how much revenue the company is generating, how much profits they have, and whether it actually makes sense for them to be able to give that dividend. And I guess what I'm really saying is you don't want to pick a stock solely because it pays a dividend. While this is a stream of income that millionaires share, they are very selective in the type of stocks that they invest in. We're not just dividend shopping, but we're investing in solid companies that we believe in their marketing plan, their leadership, and their future goals that they have set, the vision overall. And as a result, that company happens to give a dividend, and we enjoy the reward of that. So I don't want you to be dividend hunting, but I do want you to recognize that that is a form of income. And you have the choice of reinvesting that as well, just like if you had your own business, and we talked about earlier, where you can reinvest it and buy more stock in the company, or you can pull the dividend out. That is always your choice. The sixth one is your rental income. 9 out of 10 times we're talking about real estate. This is just where you have a real estate portfolio and you are able to put like tenants in those buildings or however it works out for you, where you're generating an income based off of that. And then that money, you have the same option as always, where you can put that money in another investment. And that investment could be in the stock market, that investment could be in another business, that investment could be in more real estate. You have that option available to you. But rental income is a great source of income, and a lot of people like to shift from their earned income straight to their rental income. And the reason is they feel like they have a tangible product where even if I don't necessarily pick the best real estate, I at least have a plot of land that if I can't rent it out, I could sell it. If I can't sell it, then I will, build something or I'll live in it, where you feel like because you have that tangible asset, that gives you a little bit of comfort and a little bit of, let's say like a plan B, C, and D, where your first thought was, okay, I'm going to have a tenant living here. Life is going to be great. But let's say no one wants to rent it, or we have to kick the renters out, whatever is happening. Well, you can then decide maybe I'll live there, or maybe I'll see if I'm able to rent it out for a different venue where it's like maybe like weddings, if it's like a beautiful home off the beach or something like that, where maybe you don't get a tenant, but you can rent it out. And that could be like Airbnb as well, where you just to have more options available, where you can even sell the property. And so a lot of people like that option as well, but it is something that you want to make sure you're comfortable understanding when you choose the first property. I see it where it doesn't always work out for people because you just jump right in. And it's one of those things where people feel like they can time the market. Just like in stocks where like, okay, I'm going to buy like the dip or something like that, people will say. People feel that way as well. Like I'm going to buy the dip, so once the recession starts and prices start dropping, then, I'm going to be waiting to buy it. Or we're in this top of the bubble and I'm going to try to sell this property at the top of the bubble. And I'm just going to be waiting for the moment that the bubble is going to pop. And so you want to just not be that comfortable and that risky. We're talking always about long-term investments where you're building a legacy for yourself, whether that is an early retirement, a normal retirement, or a legacy for future generations where you pass your portfolio on to them. Always be thinking long-term. We're not trying to time things as much. Now, if you want to do that with like some of your extra money, like your play money is what I talk about, then totally fine. But if we're talking about building something long-term and sustainable, then it's just like any other investment. We're investing for the future, and we want to make sure that we believe in the future of whatever we put our money into. And then the last one is your royalty income. So royalties could be where you trademark something, where you patent something, where you just have intellectual property, right? Any sort of form where you have ownership over something, but you're not interested in going the whole way, where you start like your own business, where you're marketing, where you're selling, but you're just like, you know what, I got a great idea, I got a patent, I'm going to give this to you, someone else's company, and then they're going to take it across the finish line. And for doing that, they're going to pay me a percentage of the revenue. So instead of me getting 100% of the revenue if I do everything, if I just let someone else do it with my patent, maybe they'll give me 5, 10, 15% or something like that, probably more like 5 or under. But as a result, over the years, that can become a lot, especially depending on how large the company is that you gave your patent to. And so it's your choice on those revenue streams. You'll find that most millionaires, according to the IRS, have at least 3 streams of income. Of these 7 streams of income, they have at least 3 of them. You'll find that that is 65% of millionaires in the US have at least 3 streams of income. And when you go even higher, right, like the number gets smaller. So the people who have 4 streams, well, the number drops to like 40%. And then the number drops even lower when we talk about who has like 5 streams of income. So I often tell people, let's start with figuring out how to create 3 streams of income. And when you do that, you'll be on track among the 65% of millionaires. That is how they created their millions. Now, if you are trying to figure out which streams am I going to go in, how much money am I able to put away, how long will this take for me, then I invite you to check out my free retirement planning that works video training at obsidianwisdom.com/training. In it, I give you the entire wisdometric framework that I use with my clients to help them eradicate financial stress, generate passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy. Until next time, Wisdomites, remember, wisdom is asking the right question to allow yourself to get the right answers. Keep asking those questions, and you will keep getting those answers. Continue blessings.